How's it, everyone? Welcome back to another entry in my hybrid experiment series right here on OpenCourt. I'm Kent, and today I'm testing out a hybrid that has been suggested to me by some players and the company that I'm going to be talking about, TruePro, and it's been in the works for a while. I've been meaning to try this hybrid out, so without further ado, the hybrid that I'm testing today is the TruePro Pure Rush and Ghost Wire hybrid. Alright, so TruePro used to be called Tier 1, and their Firewire was sent to me by one of you viewers, and I really appreciate that, so thank you. I wasn't a big fan of the Firewire, but TruePro actually saw that review and they said some very nice things about it, and then we've been corresponding by email, and they sent me a whole bunch of sets of their newest string, which is the Pure Rush. I have that in the mains, it's this blue string, and they also sent me some strings called the Ghost Wire, which is this white string in the cross, and I've reviewed both the Pure Rush and the Ghost Wire individually. You guys can check out those reviews, I'll leave them in the description down below. I like both of those strings. The Pure Rush is a shaped string, it's more on the stiff side, it's a more control oriented string for big hitters who can generate their own power by really rotating through the ball and generate pace. It is a little bit on the deader side. I did struggle to hit some touch shots and drop shots. I am an all-court player and I like to push up to the net. I struggled a little bit with that, but the Pure Rush is great when you're standing back on the baseline and just cranking out ground strokes. It's actually pretty similar to the ReString 0, whereas the Ghost Wire, which is this white string in the cross, is a smooth, round poly, very simple. It has a lot of flexibility. It's not super soft, but it does have good ball pocketing, and it launches the ball out fairly well and produces a decent amount of power, and it does feel a little bit crisper compared to the Pure Rush. So in terms of string characteristics, I would say the Pure Rush and Ghost Wire are basically polar opposites. So by combining them together, I'm hoping to get the best of both worlds, the spin and control and the firm feel from the Pure Rush in the mains, as well as that liveliness and the power and the comfort from the Ghost Wire in the crosses. So I've got it strung up in my Head Speed Pro, the Legend Edition, and I got the Pure Rush strung in the mains at 52, and I got the Ghost Wire in the cross at 50. I always string 2 pounds lower in the crosses because I want to be able to have that mains slide a little bit more. By having it strung looser in the cross, the mains have a little bit more room to slide, and it also provides a little bit more power, and this is an 1820 string pattern, so I want all the help I can get with spin and power. So TruePro recommended this setup specifically as a hybrid, so I'm gonna get it out and try it out. But before that, if you guys like this content and want to see more, be sure to overhead smash that like and subscribe button to keep the reviews coming. So I don't do a full pros and cons comparison with hybrid experiments because I've done full reviews of both of these strings individually. Rather, I just want to give my full thoughts on the TruePro Pure Rush and Ghost Wire when paired together. I noticed that this setup took the best parts of both of these strings and combined them together to create a very good poly-poly hybrid. This hybrid was one of the best control-oriented poly hybrids I've ever tried. The Pure Rush is a pretty stiff string that also has a shaped profile which provides good spin. This allowed my biggest swings to stay inside the lines and glide low over the net. I could stay on the gas and rip ground strokes from all areas of the court. My returns were probably the best aspect of this playtest because the stiffness and spin generation of the Pure Rush mains kept my ball low and inside the baseline. I had to work a little harder when I was running around on defense, but that's where the Ghost Wire in the crosses came in. I struggled on defense and generating my own power with a full bed of Pure Rush. The Ghost Wire in the crosses added some much needed assistance and power. I had a much easier time getting defensive slices and lobs deeper than with a full bed of Pure Rush. Also, off-center hits weren't as jarring and I could still hit some decent pace. The sweet spot definitely felt bigger with the Ghost Wire in the crosses, and one of the detriments of using a full bed of stiff poly is the lack of power, especially outside the sweet spot. The Pure Rush is one of those strings. Although it provides great control on full swings, it doesn't provide much free power. This is true for ground strokes, but one area I look for power is at net. The Speed Pro with a full bed of Pure Rush is not the best combination when I'm poaching in doubles. If I catch the poach outside the sweet spot, it's very easy for my opponent to dig it back, and that leaves me in a compromised position. The Ghost Wire in the crosses gave me a bit of extra punching power on poaches, and that allowed me to win points easier and made me less hesitant to cross the middle. The power also helped out my service game. The Dense Speed Pro already is not one of the better serving rackets in my opinion, but the main issue I had with the full bed was the low trajectory on slice serves. Unfortunately, the launch angle didn't improve with the Ghostwire crosses, but it did provide a little more speed on my slice serves. I could mix in the slice flat hybrid serve into the body to keep my opponent guessing. I didn't notice any real difference on the kick serve between this hybrid and the full bed playtests. Regardless, this was still a decent setup for getting good rotation on my kick serve. One area I really enjoyed this hybrid was the aggressive slices. I like to occasionally mix in a deep slice into the corner to approach the net. If I can hit it well, this usually forces my opponents to dig up on the ball and I can punch the volley into the opposite corner. I noticed that with a full bed of Pure Rush, the slices were a little erratic. The stiff edges grabbed the ball and pulled it down into the net. At other times, the strings would slide but get stuck out of place and the slice would float up. With the full bed of Ghostwire, I had a little better control with directing the slices, but I wasn't getting the biting action as with a shaped poly. With the two polys hybrided together, my slices became deadly. I got the low trajectory and sideways bounce from the Pure Rush as well as directional and depth control from the Ghostwire. Something I was hoping this hybrid would outshine the full bed versions was the feel. When I tried the Pure Rush, I liked the stiff response because it gave me good depth control on full swings. However, I felt it wasn't crisp enough for directional control or hitting drop shots and angle volleys. I felt the Ghostwire was a lot more crisp and lively and had a much easier time implementing my front court game. So by putting the Ghostwire in the crosses, I was hoping to get a more crisp and responsive string bed than just Pure Rush. Unfortunately, I felt that wasn't the case. I still struggled to hit my touch shots like my drop shots, drop volleys, lobs, and short angles. There wasn't a noticeable difference in the feel department, and that was the biggest disappointment because an improvement in feel was the aspect I was hoping for most. Honestly, I believe the new Speed Pro I strung this in also contributed to the lack of feel because the new head rackets are somewhat muted, but I did not get as much of a response as I was hoping for. Pure Rush as a main string doesn't give enough pop and feel for my game. However, another aspect this hybrid performed well in was tension maintenance, spin longevity, and durability. A full bed of Ghostwire has pretty bad tension maintenance due to the softer construction, and I was spraying ground strokes all over the place after just one session. In contrast, Pure Rush had excellent tension maintenance because it's much stiffer, so having it in the mains mitigated the loss in control. The spin also lasted a long time. With a full bed of Pure Rush, the strings started to notch and the spin would sometimes fall off if I didn't catch it clean. But the Pure Rush slid on the cross as well and the spin was consistent and long lasting. Durability was excellent too. I never play with strings until they break, but my guess is that this hybrid will last a very long time because the softer Ghostwire cross will not saw into the stiff Pure Rush mains. If you're looking for a hybrid that will play predictably for a very long time and you don't want to constantly restring your racket, this combo is an excellent option. This might be one of the first poly-poly hybrids where I might consider stringing the crosses a couple pounds higher than the mains. Usually I like to string 2 pounds looser in the crosses because that allows the mains to slide out of place more, leading to better snapback for spin generation. The downside is that it usually leads to a higher launch angle because the ball will be slingshotted off at a higher trajectory. But with this True Pro hybrid, I think stringing the Ghostwire higher might actually improve the feel a bit. It might crispen up the response for hitting better touch shots, as well as keeping the launch angle low enough where I can swing out without worry. I probably won't ever try this, but this is just my hypothesis. So to wrap up my final thoughts on this True Pro hybrid, I really enjoyed the control and spin I got from the baseline. The stiff feel may be too much for some players, although the Ghostwire crosses did alleviate much of the stiffness outside the sweet spot and provided some much needed control. This hybrid provided a good blend of power and control, and aggressive baseliners who like to push their opponents around will enjoy this setup. Unfortunately for me, I didn't find this setup suitable for playing my front court touch game, and I didn't like it as much for doubles as I did for singles. But if you're primarily a baseliner, this hybrid would get a recommendation from me. If you're interested in trying this hybrid or the Pure Rush and Ghostwire individually, check out the link in my description for an awesome discount on True Pro's products. If you use that link, that greatly supports my channel and I really appreciate it. And let me know in the comments other interesting hybrids you guys like to try. I may try Ghostwire in the crosses with Toraline Caviar in the mains next. That may be more suited toward my needs. Thank you for watching this hybrid experiment review of the True Pro Pure Rush and Ghostwire right here on OpenCourt. If you guys like this content, be sure to overhead smash that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you on an open court.